Imagine you're driving when a car swerves in front of you without a signal. You immediately conclude the driver is reckless, self-centered, and dangerous. You've judged their entire personality based on a 3-second interaction. But if you find yourself cutting someone off, you have a reason. You're late for a doctor's appointment, or the sun was in your eyes. You see your behavior as a response to a difficult situation, not a lack of character. This is the actor-observer effect. We explain our own actions through our environment, but we explain others through their personality traits. This bias is so pervasive that psychologists call it the fundamental attribution error. In 1967, researchers showed students essays praising Fidel Castro. Even when students knew an instructor forced the authors to write those specific arguments, they still believed the writers actually held those pro-Castro views. Years of testing show that our social behavior is often an immediate emotional reaction to our surroundings, which we only try to justify with logic after the fact. Our perception of a good or evil person often stems from the power of the immediate context, rather than a fixed moral compass. This situational power even dictates when we choose to help others. On a crowded street, the moral urge to assist someone in distress can vanish. We call this the diffusion of responsibility. When many people are present, each individual feels less personal pressure to act. If the situation is ambiguous, we look at others to see how to respond. Because everyone else is also trying to look calm and unbothered, we all assume the situation isn't an emergency. This pluralistic ignorance turns a crowd into a wall of inaction. We even see this in group work. Social loafing occurs when individuals unconsciously work less hard in a team than they would alone, simply because their individual contribution is harder to see. Helping comes down to rapid, unconscious math. In the prisoner's dilemma game theory model, an individual gains more short-term by betraying their partner. Cooperation becomes the logical choice when dealing with the same people repeatedly, to build a reputation or fear group punishment. Whether someone steps up to help depends less on their inherent heroism and more on who is watching and how the risks are distributed. These situational cues shape our beliefs as well. We form first impressions in milliseconds, and those snap judgments often become self-fulfilling prophecies. If we expect someone to be unfriendly, we act coldly toward them, which causes them to react poorly, confirming our original bias. To find hidden biases, researchers use the implicit association test, sorting photos of different people alongside positive or negative words quickly. Data shows people who value equality often have micro-delays in reaction times, as their brains unconsciously associate certain groups with negative concepts. Our conscious claims of fairness are often secondary to the deep associations our brains have absorbed from the world around us. Even violence follows this situational pattern. The frustration-aggression hypothesis suggests that environmental discomfort, like extreme heat or a blocked goal, triggers a biological fight-or-flight response. We are more likely to lash out when the environment makes us physically uncomfortable. We assume violence is driven by internal madness, but data contradicts this. People with mental illness who do not abuse drugs or alcohol are no more dangerous than the general population. The primary driver of violence is substance abuse. To commit acts of cruelty, people use de-individuation, hiding behind a crowd, behind a uniform, or a mask. This creates a distance between the individual's real self and their actions, lowering their sense of personal responsibility. This distance is finalized through dehumanization. By viewing victims as anonymous or less than human, perpetrators bypass the brain's natural empathetic circuitry. Atrocities are usually the product of engineered environments that remove personal identity and strip victims of their humanity. Recognizing that we are shaped by our surroundings changes how we approach social problems. If our behavior is a response to external inputs, then changing those inputs can lead to different results. Consider the robber's cave experiment. Researchers took 2 groups of boys and introduced competition for prizes. The environment was designed for conflict, and the boys quickly responded with insults and food fights. The solution wasn't to lecture them on kindness. It was changing the environment. By creating a situation where both groups had to work together to fix a broken water pipe, the researchers turned rivals into friends through a shared, necessary goal. This portrait reminds us of the civil rights struggle, yet some modern, color-blind approaches try to teach this history without mentioning race at all. Research shows that trying to ignore differences is mentally draining and often makes prejudice worse. Just as the robbers' cave boys needed a shared goal to lower their defenses, multiculturalism works by recognizing and valuing unique differences. This shifts the environment from a competitive us versus them mindset to a cooperative one where every group feels secure. When we see someone fail or lash out, the most useful question isn't what is wrong with them, but what is the situation they are in? By addressing the context, we can begin to change the behavior.